balance the budget. Donation. March 23rd, 2021, and ask the city clerk to please call roll.
Commissioner Galt,
Present.
Commissioner Guess,
Present.
Commissioner Henderson,
Present.
Commissioner Wilson,
Present.
Mayor Bray.
Present. And I will ask Commissioner Henderson to please give the invocation.
Father in heaven, again, we're so grateful for the day that you've given us. We're grateful for our time together even now. Thank you, Father, for choosing us to serve in such an important capacity. We pray, Lord God, that everything that we say and everything that we do will make you smile. We pray, Lord God, for these commissioners, for this mayor. We pray for the city of Paducah, Lord God. We pray even now for our neighbors who are experiencing difficulties in life. And so, Father, we pray now for your presence. We pray for your power. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Manager, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, before we get started, I just wanted to make a few comments on a couple of things. I know most everybody's seen in the news lately that cities, counties, states are getting a lot of money from the American Rescue Plan that was recently passed in Congress and signed into law by President Biden. We've seen a number of estimates about how much money the city of Paducah is going to get. It's ranged anywhere from $4.5 million to a little over $6 million. We don't know. We haven't, got a memo today from the Kentucky League of Cities, thank you, City Manager, talking about why the number is fluctuating. I think there's some cities perhaps in some states where they hadn't listed them as cities, so they came in at the last minute and it changed the calculations. The calculation is population based, so the counties and the cities allocation, whatever it ends up being, is based on our population. So that's kind of how we size up against other cities. The commission. We don't know exactly how much money we're going to get. We haven't started talking about how we're going to spend it. I know there's people wondering, what are you going to do with the money? And so we have no idea at this point. Certainly last year when we balanced our budget from last year with some reserves. So that's one of the things that we want to take a look at to make sure that the city's financially sound. But at the same time, we certainly are going to take a look at how we can spend that money for the betterment, of our community. But we just haven't gotten into it yet, so I just wanted to sort of get that out on the table. Just a couple other things. Also, we adopted our commission's 12 priorities. That's the priorities that all of us talked about, spent a lot of time with. It's what we're all passionate about, and it's what we're working on. But it's going to take time. We're, of course, in the process of recruiting a new city manager, as Mr. Arndt's going to be leaving us in the next 90 to 120 days. And our recruiter actually asked for those priorities because he wanted to make sure that he knew, as he began the recruitment process, for him to take a look at, him or her to take a look at what those priorities were. So we shared those with him, and that is what all of us are working on all the time. So I hope you keep a good eye on those and keep us accountable for those. It's very important. And of course, what goes hand in hand with that is the $20 million of bond money that everybody is super interested in, including us. And we haven't made a final decision on that. We're trying to make an informed decision, a calculated decision, and use that money in the best way possible. And there's some moving targets out there on where we think the money is likely to be spent. So we can't really get a good beat on that just yet. But we know that's an important discussion. We know it's we know all the community's interested in that, and we are going to keep everybody informed on exactly what we're working on as we go forward. So those are just some of the comments I had made, and then we have some new employee introductions tonight. City Manager, would you like to introduce a new fire department employee?
I sure will, Mr. Mayor, unless Chief Kyle popped in. If not, Nathan Simmons would want to come on up to the podium. This is Nathan Simmons. He's been hired on as our newest deputy fire marshal. Nathan started with us about a month and a half ago.
Yep.
Nathan comes from, if I remember correctly, he's going to put my memory to the test. I believe you're originally from the Lake Geneva area?
Upper Illinois, Galena.
Galena, I'm sorry, Galena, thank you. And then he spent some time down in Florida as well.
Correct.
Then basically he came up here to assist us with our fire prevention duties. So we're very excited to have you on board. And if you could, just kind of tell the board about yourself.
Sure. My name is Nathan. I moved here in the area with my fiance and 2 kids, third on the way. Happy to be here. Work alongside April as a deputy fire marshal here, and we're just happy to be here. Happy to get out and see Paducah in the first month and a half, and it's a pleasure to be here tonight.
Good, thank you very much. Does the commission have any questions for Nathan?
No, thank you very much. I've been to Galena,
Oh,
great
yeah.
little town, so.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Laird? This is just for the board members to know. This is something that we started here last couple of years. I thought it was important for the board to see all the employees when we bring them on board. So we'll have, whenever we hire new employees, now we're back in person, you'll get to see them for Public Works, Parks, police, and fire. That way you can kind of put a face with the name.
Thanks, City Manager. Mayor Commission, happy tonight to bring 2 new police officers. They're being coming on the payroll on Thursday, so I want to take tonight to introduce them to you. The first is Julia Sutterfield. Julia's 23. She's originally from Missouri, was going to school at Murray State, recently graduated with a bachelor's degree, and she's recently moved here to the city. The second is Jeremy Bumpus. Jeremy's 33. He lives here with his wife and daughter, and he's got a bachelor's degree from Murray State as well as a master's degree. So we're happy to present them tonight. They're set to go to the police academy in June. This has been a long process. They tested with us back in, I think it was October of last year. So as I told you at your commission retreat, it takes a while. But as I told you then, I had people that I needed to hire, and here they are. So thank you.
Good deal.
Welcome aboard. Thanks very much. Okay, we got a couple of presentations this evening. City Manager, I think you have a recognition that you
I
wanna
do. I have an unveiling over there against the wall. Michelle Smolin, would you come up? This is just a token of appreciation and recognition from the Kentucky City and County Managers Association. Michelle, of course, as the board knows, has been recognized as the Assistant City Manager of the Year of the World. I'll just keep saying that 'cause it's fun. And she was also the cover girl for PM Magazine, our profession's professional magazine that's distributed internationally. So the Kentucky City County Managers Association wanted to recognize her for that. They weren't able to be here tonight. They asked me to do it, so I have the honors.
I'm glad my mask is covering my blushing.
That's great.
That's really
good.
As you can see, it's signed by all the city managers and assistant city managers in the city.
wow. Thank you. Oh wow. This is incredible.
Congratulations, Michelle.
Great.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I don't know. Thank you. I mean, I work. I'm really honored to serve the city of Paducah and to be with the Kentucky city managers and the great city managers we have in our state. And I work really hard to represent the city well in everything that I do. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you do a great job. Thank you. Okay, Mary Hammond has an update for us. So Mary, take it away.
She's no cover girl, so, anyway. Yes, Mayor, Commissioners, I'm delighted to be here in person and give you an update on the Paducah CVB, City of Paducah, Lou Hammond partnership. So, thank you. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background. Things sort of happened quickly when all of this started happening here. During the pandemic, this fall and early winter, the CVB staff noticed an increase in relocation inquiries from those seeking to return to their hometown or from those seeking a city offering cultural, leisure, outdoor amenities combined with safety and affordability. The CVB immediately expanded the community link on the Paducah.travel website and curated a dedicated relocation information page to feature local quality of life information and helpful resources. This page houses a relocation information request web form and a sign-up for ongoing Paducah updates. The CVB was already under contract with Lou Hammond Group for public relations, and we were facing budget cuts, drops in tourism, and we were looking for new partnerships. The decision was made to shift the focus from tourism to quality of life, which falls right in with our strategy, Organization Next, which is our response and recovery strategy. Lou Hammond prepared a proposal, and the city was approached for a partnership. Thank you for approving the proposal. I think I sent you all this. Make sure you have your own copy. We thank you for approving this 6-month campaign with Lou Hammond. This January through June, it was a $24,000 investment that allows the CVB to administer a targeted effort to highlight Paducah's quality of place, to promote tourism and relocation. This national PR campaign reaches audiences in areas of the country not included in the target markets of the CVB marketing plan for leisure visitors. We focus mostly on the drive market and the niche markets. I can hear Rosemary saying that, niche markets. The formal goal of the PR campaign is to promote the city's signature experiences, cultural assets, educational offerings, small business tools, and relocation incentives to put Paducah on the map as a great place to live, work, and visit. The plan offered by Lou Hammond provides public relations campaign strategy supportive and complementary of the CVB's efforts to elevate Paducah's profile nationally, raising awareness as a destination and a great place to live. But then you have to ask, so, okay, now we're in on this. What do we expect from one another? Well, we have meetings with Lou Hammond every other week. Catherine Byers represents the city, and CVB is there, and Lou Hammond's staff. They give us monthly reports. I sent some to you. We've had 2 reports. Their activity measures are how many pitches, how many different stories are they trying to get out in the media, and how many writers and media have they reached, and how many earned media that we haven't had to pay for, or the clips, as they called that, the articles. So I emailed those reports, and I'm glad to report Lou Hammond Group made 312 targeted pitches, and there were 11 coverages, articles about Paducah, and the reach, are you ready for this? 210 million is the reach of those articles, and the value of that earned media was $50,000, pretty good for 2.5 months. So we've expanded that webpage on Paducah.travel website, and using it as a tool for the PR campaign to capture the interest organically. We're finding that people are, they're out searching, they're looking, they've got those key things they're looking for. and they're finding Paducah. So on our webpage, we have community links with Chamber and Economic Development and Main Street, education, healthcare, public safety, local news, as well as maps and guides, Paducah in the news, and even a place to connect and share your own experiences. So there's call to actions to appeal to the audiences in relocation, driving them to take action and provide value. So what we do when someone fills out that form, they automatically get an email, and that has other resources for them. And then my staff follows up with personal email. And if they've checked anything that they're interested in, to give further information and try to connect them with our partners that have deeper information. So then how do we register the CVB progress? I mean, somebody say to me, well, how many people have moved here? So it's not there. This is a PR campaign. But we do look at our web traffic, the users in the top cities. We look at the inquiries, the inquiry states, the partner referrals, and the email opening clicks of the e-newsletters. So this is kind of interesting. Who do you think the top states would be that are interested on our website and looking at the details? Well, we knew Kentucky, Illinois, Missouri, Tennessee, of course. But then it goes California, Florida, Ohio, and Texas. The top cities, are you ready for this? The top city, San Jose. We've had this group from San Jose asking about Paducah, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Miami, Florida, Orlando, Columbus, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Dallas, Houston, Austin are the top cities with people looking to move to Paducah. So the inquiries seem like they're falling into three categories. I'm trying to hurry up here. We get the millennial boomerang, interested in locating back from a large metropolitan area. They have ties to Paducah or the region, and they're looking at cost of living, family and friends. They want arts and culture, and they're interested in healthcare and housing. And then you've got the Gen X nuclear family, and they're looking at a city that offers what they currently have, but where they live is expensive. So that's the top reason, cost of living. And their list, arts and culture, business relocation assistant, business startup assistant, churches, education, healthcare, housing, jobs, neighborhoods. We had one family from the West Coast spend 2 hours on the website on their first stop. And it's funny, you can see them, they come back, and they booked a trip to here in February, and we haven't heard from them what happened in that trip. But then we've also got those in the early and mid-60s who are relocating to an area that they're already familiar with, ever visited before. And it's because of the central location and retirement planning. And they want the arts and culture and the healthcare, housing, jobs, neighborhoods, and churches. But overall, visitors to Paducah Dock Travel find us through organic searches. They're uninfluenced by ads, and they're seeking information that focuses on the quality of life in Paducah. Over half of the inquiries appear to have some sort of familiarity with Paducah or the region, and the majority of those seeking relocation information subscribe to Paducah Dock Travel e-newsletters. We're going to make the most of those. The CVB will continue to refine the web page, the web form, and automated email to collect data to help quantify and analyze this information. Laura Oswald will be back to work on April 1st. She's been out on maternity leave. But in her place, Kara Gray Watson has done a yeoman's job in working with the website and relocation webpage and the inquiries and the partners and gathering information from the analytics, which is pretty amazing if you get in the back end of the website. The CVB staff is excited to partner with the city on this program and learn of the depth of interest in our community. The fabulous coverage, the earned media highlighting the quality of life in Paducah is good for every aspect of growth for us. And we look forward to working with the city on a relocation incentive as the plan is formed and more partnerships found and goals set. Any questions on some of the things that have been covered? It's across the board. My goodness, from Frenchtown Station and Slim's to Starnes Barbecue and best places, one of the best small towns in the South, to the Hotel Metropolitan, it's just all over the place, to the restaurants. I feel good about the coverage, and I hope you do as well.
Thanks, Mary. just a couple of questions. You know, the family that was here in February that we haven't heard from. I mean, do we have any way of getting a telephone number when people are going to do that so we could reach out to them ourselves?
It's real funny with those privacy on when people give you their names and addresses, but I think that we can ask them and send a request to see if we can communicate further with them.
You know, I
But I would
think
like to.
the more touch that we would
Oh,
have
I
with them, I
agree.
think would be really good. You know, we just need to
Yes.
capture the data.
Yes.
So,
Kara's been really good. She's looked at everything that these folks are clicking on. She's watching it. It's kind of interesting.
yeah, so one of our top priorities is the relocation incentive, you know, which I think plays into, you know, this a great deal. So I know that our staff is working on that.
Yes.
And hope to have something to present to the commission here in the next 60 days. So it dovetails nicely into all the work that you're doing.
Well, there's not a piece of Paducah that we're not pushing, and Lou Hammond Group is totally pitching so many different things, but the education, the boomerangs, the stories, and we've seen them covered. Paducah Life has done a great job in covering some of those boomerang stories, and we're really pushing it out there, so thank you all.
So, Mary,
Thanks.
before you go,
Yes.
do you plan on updating the Paducah Power Board or the Chamber of Commerce Board? Because they're partners with us in this, as far as the steps
You know,
you're taking.
I don't know if they're on there or not, but on that page, I didn't see them, but we will add utilities. We'll do that.
Well, I'm
So
talking
So he's
about,
talking about his sponsors, Mary,
yeah,
for the program.
Paducah Power
Okay.
and the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay,
I think what we're saying is they need to be updated because they helped,
They gave money.
they gave money.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, they gave money through you all. And
That's
that-
right.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
that's where that disconnect comes, because our contract's with you all.
That's
So,
right.
Yeah, so, but I will definitely
Thank
add
you.
that.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
will. I don't mean to leave you out, Sandra. Thank you all.
Okay, now we get to the consent agenda. I do have one item that I would like to pull off the consent agenda, which is the radio equipment grant. Chief Laird, if you would, we're going to pull that off and let you talk about that. Is there anyone, do you want to, should we read these first? Does anyone else have anything they'd like to pull off the consent agenda? Okay. City Clerk, please read.
Approve minutes for the March 4th, March 9th, and March 11th, 2021 Paducah Board of Commissioners meetings. Receive and file documents, personnel actions, a municipal order authorizing an application for an acceptance of a 2021 through 2022 Kentucky Household Hazardous Waste Grant through the Kentucky Division of Waste Management in an amount of $25,545 to assist in funding the City-County Annual Spring Cleanup Day and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. A municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute all documents necessary to apply for the Park Steward Grant Program through the National Park Service in the amount of $3,000. A municipal order authorizing an application for an American Association of Retired Persons, AARP, Community Challenge Grant in the amount of $31,066 for bottle filler style fountains for the Paducah Parks Department and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. A municipal order accepting an FY 2020 Certified Local Government Matching Grant Program through the Kentucky Heritage Council in the amount of $22,500 and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same.
So moved.
Second.
City Clerk, please call roll.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Guess,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Bray.
Aye. City Clerk, would you read H?
A municipal order accepting a 2020 Kentucky Office of Homeland Security, KOHS, grant award in the amount of $314,450 for radio equipment upgrades for the Paducah Police Department and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same.
So moved.
Second.
Chief Laird, would you give us a little quick download on all this?
Yes, sir. That is a Homeland Security grant from the state that we applied for last year. And what that's for is to, it will replace the majority of our handheld portable radios as well as a portion of our in-car vehicle radios.
How many radios is it? Do you know?
It depends on what the price is currently. So we recently had a meeting earlier this week with the state, and it looks like we'll be able to purchase off state contract. So that will save some time as well as probably save a little bit of money. So we anticipate it just depends on what the price is at the time. So when we quoted it, it was last year, it would replace every single officer's handheld radio, which is around 80 to 85 radios, and then some of the in-car radios as well.
So the capabilities of the new radios, I mean, I'm sure it's a big upgrade in technology. How old were the old ones, and what are some of the new capabilities?
So they are P25 compliant, which is a requirement as we move forward with the 911 project as well. So any of the ones that we're purchasing now will be able to be used later on as well.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. I just wanted, have us, any commissioners have any questions about the radios? I mean, I want to call it out just because, I think getting upgraded and technologically advanced equipment for our police force is very important, and $314,000 is a heck of a grant.
It is. We've been working on it slowly over the last 2 to 3 years, typically with about an $11,000 grant, and that usually buys 3 or 4 radios. So whenever this came about, we worked with our grant writer, and Ty's always a big help with that and help facilitate replacing a whole lot more radios. So we got a lot bigger bite with $314,000.
Awesome job. Thank you.
Would this be part of the 911 overall upgrade?
It would be, so that will
Portion of
reduce
it.
that overall cost of that as well. So that's what we're doing. We're, although we have the big project that's out there, we're still working towards that and chipping away at it slowly on some of the
Great
smaller
question.
items that we can do.
Good, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's $314,000 that won't have to be paid for out of that project.
Any more grants out there?
We're working on it.
Okay, thank you, Chief Larry.
Yes, sir.
City Clerk, would you call roll, please?
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Guess,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Bray.
Aye. So now we'll turn to municipal orders, and I'll let the city clerk read the first one.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Authorizing the Purchase of a One-Ton Transit Van in the Amount of $46,682 for use by the Paducah Police Department and authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for same."
So moved.
Second. Is Chris back there?
Sorry, Chief. You've been called into duty.
We hadn't had meetings for a long time, so I'm getting them all in at once.
So what's the transit van?
So what this is, we've been working with Public Works for, since really last year, probably about July last year. This was a budgeted item that we've been planning for the last couple of years. It'll come out of the fleet fund to pay for it. But what it is it replaces a 20-year-old ambulance that we currently use that's utilized by our SWAT team, basically to travel back and forth to different locations. It stores equipment, things like that. So we purchased a van 10 or 11 years ago from Mercy Ambulance Service. It was being taken out of service, had about 200,000 miles on it then. We put several miles on it. It's gained a lot of age. It's mechanically not,
Shot?
yeah, pretty much. It's well over 200,000 miles at this point and 20-something years old. So that's what this is for.
Okay. We all good? Okay, city clerk, call roll.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Guess,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Bray.
Aye. Okay, we have 2 ordinances to adopt. These have been we've already talked about these at earlier meetings, so I'll ask city clerk to call, or to read, please.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Providing for the Closing of an Alley Extending Northwest of Irving Cobb Drive between 2170 and 2190 Irving Cobb Drive, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same." This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah does hereby authorize the closing of an alley extending northwest of Urban Cobb Drive at 2170 and 2190 Urban Cobb Drive, and authorizes, empowers, and directs the mayor to execute a quitclaim deed from the city to the property owners in or abutting the public ways to be closed.
I have no questions.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll, please.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Guess,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Bray.
Aye. Okay, the second ordinance?
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance providing for the closing of two alleys extending north of Kentucky Avenue between 1039 and 1041 Kentucky Avenue, and between 1034 Broadway and 1039 Kentucky Avenue, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah does hereby authorize the closing of two alleys extending north of Kentucky Avenue between 1039 and 1041 Kentucky Avenue, and between 1034 Broadway and 1039 Kentucky Avenue, and authorizes, empowers, and directs the mayor to execute a quitclaim deed from the city to the property owners in or abutting the public ways to be closed.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Call roll.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Guess,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Bray.
Aye. Okay, City Clerk, if you'd read the next one, it's a bid award.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance accepting the bid of Jim Smith Contracting Company LLC for the City of Paducah's calendar years 2021 and 2022 street resurfacing program, and authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for same. This ordinance is summarized as follows. That the City of Paducah accepts the bid of Jim Smith Contracting Company LLC for the City of Paducah's calendar years 2021 and 2022 street resurfacing program, with the option of 1-year renewal agreement upon mutual agreement of both parties, said bid being in substantial compliance with the bid specifications and advertisement for bids as contained in the bid of Jim Smith Contracting Company LLC of February 25th, 2021, and authorizes the mayor to execute a contract for the following prices: resurfacing, bituminous surface base, $78 per ton; milling texture, $50 per ton; shoulder construction, $40 per ton; pavement markings, paint, 4-inch line, 25 cents per linear foot; paint, 12-inch stop lines, $2.50 per linear foot; paint, 24-inch stop lines, $5 per linear foot; paint, straight arrow, $50 each; paint, turn arrow, $50 each; paint, combination arrow, $100 each; paint, 8-inch crosswalk, $1.25 per linear foot; paint, school, $125 each; paint, railroad crossings, $500 each; paint, stop, $200 each; paint only, $200 each; paint, handicap signal, $35 each; paint, 4-inch parking lot lines, 50 cents per linear foot; thermo, 4-inch line, $1.25 per linear foot; thermo, 12-inch stop lines, $4.50 per linear foot; thermo, 24-inch stop lines, $9 per linear foot; thermo, straight arrow, $100 each; thermo, turner arrow, $100 each; thermo, combination arrow, $250 each; thermo, 8-inch crosswalks, $3 per linear foot; thermo, school, $275 each; thermo, railroad crossings, $500 each; thermo, stop, $250 each; thermo only, $250 each; equipment rental, excavator small, $140 an hour; excavator medium, $175 an hour; excavator with mulching head, $175 per hour; skid steer loader, $120 per hour; dump truck tandem, $85 per hour; dump truck triaxle, $85 per hour; motor grader medium, $175 per hour; dozer small, $155 per hour; dozer medium, $175 per hour; laborer, $70 per hour; vibratory roller small, $130 per hour; vibratory roller medium, $150 per hour.
So moved.
Second.
All good?
Good job, Lindsay.
Don't you want to hear her read it one more time?
Yeah, I was just thinking that before this change, you guys would have been, one of you would have been reading that. so.
I was thinking that too.
Please call roll.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Guess,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Bray.
Aye. So the next item on the agenda is approval of a contract with one of our unions, the AFME contract that's going to be effective July 1st. So, City Clerk, would you read that, please?
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a contract between the City of Paducah and American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO, Local 1586. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance authorizes the mayor to execute a contract between the City of Paducah and American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO, Local 1586, which will expire June 30th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
City Manager, would you like to just talk about this for a second?
Yeah, sure will, Mr. Mayor, thank you. This is as I mentioned the last meeting, this is basically a very good agreement for both the city and our local bargaining unit. We had a great series of sessions of negotiations, went to 5, which kind of, I didn't think it'd take that long, but we got there. We got through in 5. And we have members of the bargaining unit here tonight with us. We have Jared, Brian, and David Shockley, the president. And if executed by this board tonight, we'll do a ceremonial signing right after the execution. But I thank you guys. You guys negotiated in good faith, and I enjoyed the process.
So great. I would just say, before we actually call roll, just say how important, on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, how important our relationship is with all of you and how much we value the work that you do on behalf of the city and how much we appreciate that. So I'm glad that we're getting this behind us, and thank you for all that you do. So, City Clerk, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Guess,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Bray.
Aye. So we're going to sign it. So if we'd ask David and Brian and Jared to come up.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I brought these gloves because I'm going to ask you to don a pair of gloves.
Okay.
My grandfather taught me from sapling. If a man will not shake your hand, he's got something up his sleeve he's trying to hide.
I'll shake your hand.
Just being safe. Thank you, sir. I made Tim Martin do the same thing. I value in a man that'll shake your hand.
I agree. Same with me.
Now let's take and hot things off. All right.
All right.
You sign? You sign or you want me to first?
You go first. I'll sign mine.
It'll take me just a minute. That stroke slowing down. There we go.
Great.
Get the check case right there.
Thank you.
If you allow me just a minute, I'd like to address Commissioner Richardson.
Mr. Shockley, we have one more set to sign too.
Oh, we do?
Yes.
We got to go through this again?
It ain't legal for a check. I could tell y'all that we're signed up to pay the bill this year. Mark, you're the youngest one, you gotta. I'm gonna go ahead and get this started so we can get it done and get y'all on to your meeting. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Jim, I know you're a short timer, but I have to say, even though it was spirited, we did what we could, the best we could. The Paducah City worker, we try to make sure at ASME 1586 is a God-fearing, America-loving, city-serving worker. We try to do that, and we try to keep everything on a level playing field. We have had some challenges in doing that. But for the most part, the city has received exactly what they paid for. And I believe with the contract we have now, we have slowed down losing our good people, because we were at a situation where a man could drive an hour and make a better wage. Now we've stopped some of that blood flow. But by the same token, the city worker is just like the fire and the police. When there's a disaster or a storm or anything else that calls people out in the night when everybody else is going to safety, that's a city worker. When they come in for their orientation and we talk to them, that's the first thing we let them know. You can't put the bed covers over your head, because we've got to get these people took care of. We also do the cleanup and the fixing and the maintenance that wins these awards and stuff, that gets this city grants and brings people here on the programs that we were talking about, where people are coming from California, Florida. When they come see this city, they want to live here. I've had a few people that come from the bigger cities tell me that it's like Mayberry. They look around and they see things that they like because they can walk places, and it's not dangerous because it's clean and it's serviceable. The sidewalks are not falling in. They don't walk up and there's a drain pushing in their face. We do have problems. We've got a wastewater problem, we've got a storm drain water problem, but we're working on them. And by some of the things I'm hearing here tonight, I'm fairly confident this city is turning into a proactive city instead of a reactive city. Which, and this is the emotional part, I'm a 19-year employee of the city of Paducah. I had a stroke in August, and I have an option to opt out and retire at 20 years. This contract is going to keep me a little longer because I'm getting that last amount so I can get my top 5 to be that top amount. So it'll be after July 1, 2023 when I retire, but I am retiring. This is my last contract. I've done 15 years as president of this union. I've had a couple times that I was away from the helm for different reasons, but I have been the president of 1586 for 15 years of my 19-year career. And it has been something that pleased me very well. And I've tried very hard to make sure that when I leave, you're going to have as good as what I fought for as I've been here. These two fellows right here are two of my board. My financial secretary and my recording secretary. They will be moving up as I move aside and start trying to work more as a consultant to help them along with what they're doing. And we have some newer, younger guys that are getting interested in being part of the executive board so that we can move on to do that. And they're getting taught as well to be proactive instead of reactive. That way we can continue to care for the people of this city. There's nothing greater in the world for a resident at Noble Park to walk up with their kids and say thank you. Or for a little elderly woman down on 6th Street to be able to walk into Allen's coffee shop and walk out and back down the street to her house after getting her morning coffee. That kind of stuff makes us very proud. But it's also very, very heartwarming when we can clean these streets, we can clear the snow, we can cut up trees in storms, that sort of thing. When you call on us, you know, we're the boots on the ground. And we have entered a new era. And the police and the fire and the city workers are all working together to make this a better area. So y'all keep asking people to move here, because they're going to have some place they can be proud of, and we're making darn sure of it. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What a class.
I'm sorry, if you will excuse us, all three of us have prior commitments later, so.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank you.
being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is the introduction of 3 ordinances. City Clerk, would you read A?
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute Amendment Number 1 to the agreement with Strand Associates Incorporated for professional services related to stormwater assistance. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance authorizes the mayor to execute Amendment Number 1 to the agreement with Strand Associates Incorporated for professional services related to stormwater assistance. Said amendment increases the agreement by $49,000 for a total agreement amount of $74,000. This expenditure shall be charged to the MAP Fund Construction Materials Storm Sewer account.
So moved.
Second.
Rick?
Mayor, Commission, I'm proud to be here this evening, again, in person, rather than on the computers. I'm enjoying that. One thing I want to back up to, City Clerk, is it necessary that we have to read all of those unit prices? Because I don't want y'all to think that's me.
Sorry, it is.
Okay, so it's a legal thing, okay. At least y'all know it's not me. Okay, with regard to the current item on the table, Strand and Associates, as you know, completed our comprehensive stormwater plan for the city of Paducah. And Mayor, you've tasked my office with coming up with a plan that we can present in a period of time. We have our annual report that is due. It's actually due March the 1st. We didn't have enough money to pay them. We needed to get enough money to pay them for that. That's not this total. But also to do some additional modeling for the things that we can do with the stormwater, things that are in our budget. We have like $250,000 in our budget that we're looking to move forward with. And so these are some modeling things that we can do, work with the 24th Street project, our Crooked Creek project. That's over on, Crooked Creek is off of Pecan in that area there to help us work that project more. So these are some things that we need to put them to work that's going to help us with our plans moving forward on our stormwater. So they're all related to projects, is basically what I'm saying.
So we had a contract with them, and this is an additional 49,000, is that the way I read?
Yes, because in the interim, without our stormwater and drainage engineer, we were using them to supplement our needs with staying compatible with the state through the Clean Water Act, the things that we've been discussing
Right.
about. So in the absence of that person, we were taking care of that
Okay.
through a consultant.
Are you
Thank
thinking, oh, sorry, Mr. Ray.
No, good.
Are you thinking, Rick, that you're going to, this portion of this change order is going to also kind of position us to be able to better meet that 60-day timeframe to come up with some projects?
Yes, because a portion of this money, not all of it, I'm going to say about $20,000 of it, is to do some serious modeling on 4 projects that we want to bring to you all
Okay.
for consideration. I'm not saying we're going to do all of them, because I don't think we'll have the resources to do all of them, or the money to do all of them. But it will give you options. You will have better ideas to give you options. Okay, if we do this, it's this. If we do this, it's this. Because each project is going to have a different a different cost associated with it. And it's going to be what we can afford. With our current dollars in the budget, plus we're in a budget cycle right now. So as you start thinking about your budget dollars for next year, you'll be better informed to make those decisions.
Great.
This may be a question for later, but I think I'm hearing with the money that's coming, COVID related, that there are certain guidelines of what that can and can't be spent on. And I believe infrastructure is one of those qualifying.
I actually haven't seen the guidelines, so you may be ahead of me on that. I'm not sure.
Okay, I am hearing that
Yeah, I've
this was from a
heard
consultant
that.
today that said they were getting all these calls, that they do that kind of consulting work. And I thought infrastructure was one of them, and it might qualify, but anyway, I think there are certain guidelines that we can use that we could look for.
And we're looking at all kinds of, I guess, sources of money that we can use, but we need to have, I guess, better identification of projects and project potential costs on those, so we can align time frame with money or the amount of money we need to align it with a project.
Well, we were, this is based upon a conversation the mayor, myself, and Rick had based upon the direction from this body as a priority for those bond funds that we have. can we identify projects in the stormwater master plan that we can, apply some of these bond proceeds to? And the mayor asked Rick if he can get that to us in 60 days. So I think Rick's trying to get to that point where we can identify some projects that this body might want to implement by utilizing some of those bond proceeds.
Yeah, my thinking was that, we got the $20 million of bond funds and, there's more need than there is money. So we just wanted to, somehow make the best use of those funds, but make sure that we started work on something related to stormwater, really. So I don't have any other questions, Rick.
Okay.
Appreciate you being up here.
Thank you.
Okay. Started to ask you to call roll, but since it's, the next, would you read the next one, please? The next ordinance introduction.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 126 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah related to mobile food vehicles. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance amends Section 126-87, mobile food vehicles of the Paducah Code of Ordinances to clarify exemptions for mobile food vehicles under the zoning ordinance, specifically mobile food vehicles operating under a special event permit or permanent mobile food vehicles are exempted from this section of the zoning ordinance. Further, this ordinance adds coffee trucks that move from place to place and are stationary in the same location for no more than 10 minutes at a time to the exemptions.
Second.
Thank you. Mayor, Commissioner, City Manager, thank you for having me tonight. This is a simple text amendment to the zoning ordinance as it relates to mobile food vehicles, which was originally adopted in 2017. Now, since that time, there had been some questions that had came up as what was outside the realm of the zoning ordinance, what was meant to get a zoning permit, and this text amendment will define that. Whenever there is a special event, such as barbecue on the river or Quilt Week, something like that, they fall under a special event permit from the Parks Department, not planning. And also, whenever a mobile food vehicle is meant to be stationary and serve patrons in the same place, like in a mobile food vehicle court, that would also fall outside the realm of the zoning ordinance. And I'd be glad to answer any questions that you all may have.
So it makes it easier?
Yes.
Okay.
That last part you said, could you expand on that?
Yes, right now, there's not really a mechanism to allow a mobile food vehicle without getting a zoning permit because if they're not under barbecue on the river with that special event permit, they would have to come to me and produce a laundry list of items, insurance, what the food truck looks like, that sort of thing, instead of going through the site plan process, which would be just like any other restaurant in the city, where they would submit their site plans that would meet standards, which would be a lot easier to approve. Now, those trucks would still have to be permitted through fire prevention and the Purchase District Health Department, but as far as permitting, it would be a lot less to submit.
I do have a friend that, that has a food truck, and they went through a lot to get it approved. In general, I don't know how our restaurant owners feel about it, but in general, I feel like food trucks are a good thing. They're in demand. Other cities are doing more and more of them. It seems like, people want them, people like them, so I think it's something that, it sure sounds like a good thing to me.
Yes.
Okay, who was it that made the motion? Okay, I'm glad somebody else made a mistake, because this is the first reading. So we don't have to move. Who seconded?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we have to do
Yes,
that
we
to
do.
get it on the floor.
We just don't.
Yeah.
Oh, we do?
Just don't call
Okay,
roll.
so I'm wrong. Okay, read the next one, please.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 126 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah related to historical zones. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance amends Section 126-115 historical zones, H1 and H2 of the Paducah Code of Ordinances to standardize verbiage, remove screening requirements in the H1 zone, allow multifamily dwellings as conditional uses in the H2 zone, protect the existing historic housing stock by now allowing further subdivisions of single-family and two-family structures, remove redundant principal permitted uses, standardize the label dimensional requirements to reflect how they appear in other zones, enumerate standards for historical integrity that were intended to be standalone standards, and remove the requirement for mandatory informal meetings with petitioners.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you all once again. I'll start with the H1 zone, which is our historic commercial zone, which is around the Market House and the first half block of Broadway from the river to Maiden Alley. Screening is normally applied when a business zone or industrial zone abuts a residential zone, or whenever we have a development next door to the county. That's whenever we require screening in the form of a fence or berm or something like that. Obviously, this is the dense urban core, and it doesn't require screening for those types of uses that's already existing. In the H2 zone, the historic neighborhood zone, which we also know as Lower Town, the redundancy of principal permitted uses are proposed to be removed, meaning since our zoning is pyramidal, everything in residential is allowed in commercial, and everything in commercial is allowed in industrial, and so on down the line. This simplifies that list. For something that has already been principally permitted, it doesn't need to be repeated as we go down the intensity of the zones. Multifamily uses are proposed to be reintroduced to the H2 zone. They was removed in 2009. However, in this case, to reintroduce them, we are proposing them to be a conditional use, meaning when a petition is received, that would go to the Paducah Planning Commission first for a recommendation. That recommendation would go to the HARC, Historical Architecture Review Commission, to attach any conditions to that they see fit to maintain the historical character of the neighborhood. One other item that goes along with that is not to allow any further subdivision of existing historical properties that's single family or two family, 50 years or older. And the reason for that is to maintain that historical housing stock that we have in place. The standards for determining historical integrity were juxtaposed to each other. This simplifies that as a enumeration. Currently, standards 4 and 6 are within 3 and 4, and they're intended to be standalone items, which those are things that the HARC looks at in making their decisions on to issue certificates of appropriateness. And it's currently written, the Paducah zoning ordinance requires an informal meeting with the HARC whenever a petitioner puts forth a petition for a certificate of appropriateness. And then they would have to go back to HARC a month later. So by removing that particular section, it would save a petitioner a whole month to get things done. Most of the petitions we have, the vast majority are within the standards of materials, size, massing, scale, that sort of thing. There are times whenever a new material is proposed or a transformational addition or something like that would take guidance from the HARC. And in the past, how we've handled that is under other business on the agenda, where a petitioner would come, talk to the HARC, get their ideas, get their guidance, and then move forward with the petition if they would like. But by removing the mandatory meeting, it saves a petitioner a month. And I'd be glad to answer any questions that you all have.
Commissioner Guess, any thoughts?
My initial thoughts, I'd never considered 50 years old historic. Joke.
Josh, what drove these changes?
We had got a lot of requests for multifamily, particularly around the old St. Mary's School, that simply wasn't allowed at the time under the current zoning ordinance. So we thought it was important to increase housing choice, increase density, which would directly affect downtown, that these changes were needed.
Well, I'm glad to see that, I mean, I know we can't do everything that everybody wants us to do, but I'm glad to see us, listen to folks, and when something comes up out there and we think we need to make changes, I think we need to do more of that if we can.
Yes,
So
sir.
I think that's great.
And I really compliment you, Josh, on really in the Planning Commission for trying, and the HARC for trying to decrease the burden on the petitioner. I
Yeah,
really appreciate
absolutely.
that. And making the process swifter for the petitioner. I really
Yes, sir.
appreciate that.
Good job, Josh.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay, now we turned to a couple of discussion items. And the first one is a discussion about a proposed, potentially proposed entertainment destination center. So with that, Catherine?
Hi. Mayor Berry and Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you all this evening about the proposed Entertainment Destination Center. My name again is Catherine Byers, and I am the Business Development Specialist for the City of Paducah. It's my role for the City of Paducah to assist businesses with growth and retention. I am pleased to share with you all about this catalytic project. The Entertainment Destination Center builds upon 20 years of revitalization and redevelopment initiatives for our historic commercial corridor downtown and riverfront. With the pandemic's end in sight, Paducah is ready for renewal and new downtown experiences. If implemented, the Entertainment Destination Center will join other successful city-led projects, including artist relocation, build grant, opportunity zones, TIF, and our transient boat dock as well as many others. A newly established Entertainment Destination Center will boost our restaurant and hospitality industries greatly. Moving on, at the beginning of 2021, you all, as the Board of Commissioners, laid out 12 strategic plan items for us as the City of Paducah. One of those 12 strategic plan items was around supporting as well as enhancing our downtown corridor. While there were several expectations laid out along those action items, the one we'll be discussing this evening is the development and implementation of the Entertainment Destination Center. Through thorough case study research, we have found that since the state implemented this program in 2016, there have been 10 other municipalities within the state that have implemented this program specific to their own communities. These districts must be located within the community's tourist district. This allows businesses located within the proposed boundary the opportunity to apply for buy-the-drink licenses and participate in the initiative. There will be no outside beverages, alcoholic beverages allowed in, and no alcoholic beverages will be allowed out of this boundary. This licensure will be directly between the City of Paducah and the State of Kentucky. Generally speaking, this boundary is from Broadway and 5th all the way down to the riverfront, and then from Clark all the way over to the Convention Center. All in all, this encompasses about 50 acres of land and approximately a mile of riverfront. Customers must purchase these alcoholic to-go drinks from participating bars and restaurants located within this proposed boundary. Here you will find the local bars and restaurants that are within this corridor. All in all, there are about 20 bars and restaurants that would be allowed to participate in this program. Existing retail drink licenses applies. That means that there will be no additional licensing required from the state for the local bars and restaurants. With adoption of the local EDC, staff will work directly with the bars and restaurants to provide information and operating procedures for how to serve to-go alcoholic beverages for part of this program to ensure the safety of both the bars and restaurants, the city, and the customers. We have met with these local bars and restaurants as a stakeholder group prior to this meeting to inform them about the details of the program and what it means specifically for them. We've also included in these conversations the local merchant meetings that our Main Street Director, Katie Axt, holds each month. The feedback has been all positive and they are all excited to participate in the program. Now on to what this program will look like, crafted for the Paducah community. The hours of operation that we've lined out here.
Catherine?
Yes.
All the bars and restaurants that you had listed there want to participate?
We have overall received that they would be interested in participating, yes. Yeah. Yep. Okay, so the hours of operation that we've lined out here align with the operating hours for our local bars and restaurants adhering to our local ordinance. And again, that would be, as you can see on the screen, Sunday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 3 a.m. the following day. Upon discussion with our local police department, another lens to look at this through is through our parks and common area hours, which is from 6 a.m. through to 12 midnight. And that is something that, let's see, staff supports that idea, and we look to you all as the commission for advisement on the days and times.
They're saying it's 6 a.m. to 3 a.m. or 6 a.m. to midnight. Those are the two options the staff's throwing
So
out.
the original proposed hours for this, from the staff level, was 6 a.m. Until 3 a.m. And again, the reason we arrived at that, at those hours was because of the local ordinance for when
Because it
the.
aligns.
Yes,
Yeah.
so that it aligns. So that way we are not creating arbitrary hours.
But you're open to feedback from the commission on the
Correct.
go-forward plan.
That's
And
correct.
just repeat, 6 a.m. to midnight was the police
By Chief
recommendation?
Laird.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to move on to the final piece on this slide, which is special events. We're lucky enough with the downtown corridor that we host several different special events throughout the year, and we want to continue that with this program. Previous alcoholic regulations still apply. At the city level, we have the opportunity with each special event to review on a case-by-case basis. The objective here would be to have everyone coordinate and work in tandem. Now the exciting things, the proposed design concepts. So here you can see the cups and the signage that were put together by our neighborhood planner, Melanie Reason. The signs will be throughout the edges of the boundary so that they can see where you must contain the open containers. And then also there's the hours of operation displayed there so that they are aware of when they can participate in this initiative. See, the to-go cups include the downtown trademark and name, logo, and other unique identifiers. These will be soy-based cups to assist with the sanitation, and we made sure that we included the Main Street branding so that people participating in this, as well as the police department, are aware of where they are and what they're participating in. So moving on to the process that we need to work towards to establish this program with the state. So this will first mean in a local ordinance. So following our meeting tonight on April 13th, with your all's go-ahead, we'll push forward with the local ordinance. And of course, we'll need 2 readings of that in order to be allowed to apply with the state. Once that application is pushed forward, then we will also be creating a public notice. The city will run a one-time ad with the Paducah Sun that activates our 30-day comment period. This 30-day comment period is for the public to be able to send their comments and feedback to the state directly. During that time period, during the 30-day comment period, we will have a site visit from the state. This is where the state comes to Paducah to review the district boundary and actually walk it in real time so they can see what things look like. Should we get the green light on all of this, the approval will go forth and the state will send the City of Paducah licensure to us. The Commission has been intentional about prioritizing communication. This includes enhanced communication for all of our projects and initiatives. As staff, we have incorporated communication strategy at the beginning, and there are many ways in which the public can be informed and engaged on this project. As I mentioned before, this included holding preliminary high-level engagement meetings with the local stakeholders. Those have gone well, and we have received resounding support for this program. Following our meeting this evening, there will be a city project webpage and FAQ that will be made public to you all, and so that you can see the details about the project and review them for yourself. We've also made available a specific email address that you can send your questions, concerns, and comments to, in which you can engage directly with the city to insert your feedback. As I mentioned before, April 13th. This will be the introduction of the ordinance should you all choose to push this forward. And then once that is pushed forth and we have 2 readings of that, this will allow us as city staff to push forward to apply directly with the state. Opening that 30-day comment period where the public would be allowed to share their feedback with the state directly. Once approved, we intend to communicate an implementation plan, educate the public, and overall just celebrate the EDC and what it is going to offer our local community. And with that, I wanted to open it up to you all for discussion. Any questions that you might have?
Ms. Byers, you said that there were 20 businesses in that area that were eligible to
Yes.
participate.
Correct.
Now, let me make sure I'm understanding you correctly now there. You said they were interested, or are they participating?
They're interested. Once we implement the program, then we as the city would enter into agreements with the bars and restaurants.
Okay. You also said that there were no additional fees from the state. Are there any additional fees that we're going to be requiring from the city?
Yes. So
What were those?
in that agreement between the bars and the restaurants and the city, there would be about a $250 to $300 fee to participate. This is only to cover our costs as the city for this licensure with the state.
And so that doesn't have anything to do with the alcoholic fees or beverage fees that they're already paying? That's additional, right?
That's additional. And that will be paid annually.
And that's designed just to cover the fees we have to pay to the state
Correct.
to implement it.
And Catherine, who pays for the cups? Does the city pay for the cups as well, or is that each individual restaurant?
The bars and restaurants will pay for the cups themselves. We will supply the vendor with the design logo so that they're all in unison.
Are the cups all the same color, or will each restaurant have a different,
Cups are all the same color.
all the same color?
This is to help the enforcement.
That makes sense. So how did you determine the boundaries?
We really tried to look at the existing programming that we had with our build grant, our TIF, and our opportunity, or I guess just the TIF and the build grant, and saw what made sense, as well as to be inclusive of all of our downtown bars and restaurants. So with the boundary, I'll go back to that.
Yeah, let's go back and look at that.
Okay. So this boundary, as you can see, all of the red dots identify the local bars and restaurants in that corridor. So that includes Freight House all the way down to the Convention Center and Burger Theory, Carson Center, Silent Brigade, Paducah Beer Works, all of them
So
around the
Carson
boundary.
Center is at the end?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Carson Center is one end and the Convention Center is at the other? Is that a good way to?
Correct.
Okay.
So again, this will be another driver to connect that corridor between the
Okay.
Carson Center and the Convention Center.
All right.
Well said. Like that.
I know you mentioned other cities in Kentucky
Yeah.
that have done this, because it's more than just that, it actually designates it as an entertainment district.
Right.
So that's something that's like a designation that we should celebrate. I guess you talked
Absolutely.
about that. It's more than just the alcohol. It's
Right.
it's not really certified, but is it
It would connect our
registered, or-
streetscapes is kind of what we envision, our common areas between all of our tourism attractions in the downtown corridor. So
You want to pull the slide up that shows the other cities, Catherine?
Absolutely.
Yeah, do you have that? Okay.
at the bottom of that slide, and like I said, we've done thorough case study research, so we've spoken with these other communities. How is this going for you? Any road bumps that you've hit, any concerns or celebrations?
You've talked to all of them, you said?
I've talked to most of them, yeah.
Okay. And any concerns?
No, I've actually, we've engaged with our police forces have spoken as well, and there haven't been any rising concerns with that. They haven't had any issues with any of the concerns that might come up with alcoholic beverages being in the common areas. In fact, Owensboro's actually expanded their programming since they started it, to be less restrictive on the boundaries as well as the hours. So it's only been positive.
So do you think, are our boundaries wider, larger than some of the other cities? You have any feel for that?
It differs. For example, Covington, I spoke with them, and they actually have this tied to their special events, their special event permits. So their corridor is actually quite large. We really didn't want to base it off of that. It was a little bit too much to contain if we opened it up any more broad than we did. Owensboro, like I mentioned, they started it a little bit more restrictive, and since then they've broadened it. So overall, I think we kind of fall in the middle of that.
Okay. And my final question would be, if we adopt and pass an ordinance, how long will the process take, do you estimate?
So really, the shortest time scale that we'll look at for implementation would be Memorial Day, and then the latest would be 4th of July, so somewhere in between there.
Yeah, I'm trying to push the team to get this
Yeah.
done before summer.
For sure.
We're doing what we can to make that happen.
Appreciate that, thank you.
So if we have the first reading on April 13th, there has to be a 30-day period, is that right? So we wouldn't have the second reading until it's been at least 30 days?
So we actually, I'm going to go back to that slide on the timetable. We would need 2 readings to go forth, and then the ordinance has been implemented. We need that ordinance to apply with the state.
Okay, so we have to have the second reading, then you apply?
Right.
Okay.
And that also would trigger the 30-day timetable as well, once
On
we
this-
apply with the
On the
state.
second reading? Okay.
Yes. But there would be commentary welcome to us directly at the city level at any time following this meeting. It's just the direct communication between the public and the state that would be during that 30-day comment period. And again, I know this is very overwhelming, lots of information. We'll have a city webpage made available after the meeting tonight.
Thank you for being proactive with the communication, with the community. I think it's really important, so.
It is. You're welcome.
Real quickly, just so I'm understanding the timeline, the first reading would be April the 13th.
Mhm.
Hypothetically, the second reading would be April the 27th.
Mhm.
And from that point, you apply to the state.
Correct. So on the 28th of April, we would be able to apply with the state.
Okay, and historically, what has been the time turnaround from once the application's gone to the state?
14 to 30 days.
Memorial Day.
Memorial Day's pushing it, but.
It's pushing.
I think we can get there, though. I do.
Yeah.
That's our goal. We'll work towards it.
Well, even if it's in June, that's still summer, that's still great,
Yeah.
so that'd be great.
Absolutely.
What's the first day of summer?
June 21st.
Memorial Day.
Anytime it's above 70.
All right, any other questions for Catherine?
Good.
Thank you, great job.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item that we want to have some discussion about is, Jonathan's going to come up here and talk about it, but I'll provide a little background for the benefit of everybody here. I think it's really important, as the new commission took office in January, and the first thing I did was sit down with Jonathan and try to have a good discussion about our budget. What's our budget look like? What are tax revenues looking like? How's COVID affected that? And we all get, the commission, we all get full financial statements on a monthly basis. And I know each of you go over that in detail and look at those financial statements so that you understand it. I don't, but I know all of you do. But I thought it was really important that we get a snapshot, a KPI, to look and see how we were looking, both in revenues and expenses. And so Jonathan and I worked together to develop this a KPI around the general fund, which is our largest fund, where most of our tax revenues come in and where most of our expenditures go out. So is that enough of a setup for you?
It is. In fact, first of all, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. It's been 1 year since I've been standing here, and so everything looks so much different. You look like you're in hamster cages up here today. But as the mayor said, he asked me some time ago to come up with a brief and to the point financial indicator that'll show quickly where we stand at any point in time. And we got that done. We started out, it was a little more complicated than this, but we were able to narrow it down so that you have one sheet of paper that tells you everything you need to know if you want to know it. And like the mayor said, I know you all look forward to getting those financial statements, and you devour them, and you can be tested on them, just like me. And we always enjoy getting them off because that's one less thing on our checklist. But this report, the intention of this is so you can just have one piece of paper in front of you. You can look at it. You can see at any point in time where we stand. Again, just the general fund. And there's a couple of things that I know it's really hard to see on the screen on the monitor. But if it's in green, it's good. If it's in red, it's not so good. If you can remember those two things, that's how you can read this. And the way we developed it, like the mayor said, it's a general fund only. The first 4 lines are the largest revenue categories. The next section's called expenses. Those are the largest 4 departments. And we will produce this every time we produce a financial statement. Then there's a section that you cannot see on this screen, but there you go. It talks about the full-time equivalent or full-time employees, how many we are budgeted to hire, how many we've frozen if there's frozen positions, and how many we've actually paid that month. So you can see all the time where we're at constantly. And then you can see to the right, if you could scoot that back down, sorry about that. If you want to look at raw numbers, you can compare the actual column in the current year, move to your right, and you can see the 2 previous years and see how we compare financially. Just quick and easy to do. Now, so for an example, if you look at that very first line under revenues, property tax, real estate. Now, that's just the real estate, not personal tax, just property tax on your house or your business. And you can see the budget year-to-date. That's what that YTD means, year-to-date budget. So if you're halfway through the year, that would be half the budget. And the number to the right of that is going to be what we've actually received through that period of time. I think this is actually through January. And then you can see the next number is a ratio. It's almost 37%. That means, and it's green, that's good. That means we're almost 37% ahead of the expected budget. Now, over time, that 37 will probably move closer to 0 because as the year expires, you'll get further and further into the year. And then if you move down to the next section, let's pick on Chief Laird's line. He and I were chatting about this before the meeting here, and he thanked me for being sure to put his up front and center. And so if you look at the police line, that's 7 of 12 months of the budget year-to-date. Move to your right, that's literally what has been spent. And you can see he's done a fabulous job. It's green, and he's 7% under his expected budget. And that's it. That's really it.
Then if you go to the totals.
Yeah. If you want to look at the largest revenues in that first section or the largest departments, the totals, you can see at any point in time, right now, we're a little over 9% ahead in revenue collections. And you go down below in the expense section, and it says 6.8. It's green. That means we're 6%. We spent 6.8% less than we could have spent, or what we budgeted for. Again, they're both green, so that's all good. Anything else I missed you could think of? If you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to address them. Again, these will come out when we do the financials, so you'll have a 35-page report you can read, or you can read this one.
So it'll come out on a monthly basis, and it's really it's actual versus year to date, month by month, and it should give you a snapshot of exactly how we're doing. And those 4 revenue categories and expense categories make up what percent of the general fund, would you say, John?
About half. Each are half. The revenues that you see make up over half of the general fund, and the expenditures make up a little over half of the entire general fund.
Okay.
So that's 50%. If you're in a scientific sampling, if you get 50% of something,
That's really good.
you got a pretty good idea what's going to happen probably. And the rest of the departments are all, smaller departments that, and transfers and things like that, where we subsidize other funds. But these are the big, I call them the big dogs, both revenues and expenditures.
So I'd point out our largest revenue category in this, which is payroll tax. And we were budgeted for 8.4 million through 7 months. And in actual, we're at 9.1. So we're 8.8%, ahead year to date. And so we've all been wondering, how COVID's going to affect payroll taxes. And so that gives you a good indication of how we're looking year to date.
I don't want to burst your bubble, but
Did I say wrong? Did I say something
you
wrong?
said it exactly right. But wait till you see February's and March, because
Not so good, huh?
well, it's not necessarily bad. It's just through January, there's a collection period for payroll tax.
Okay.
There's another, that collection period extends into the first couple days of February. So that 8.8% will probably shrink.
Okay.
And then in March, we don't collect anything for payroll tax. So
Yeah.
it'll just keep on shrinking. So
Okay.
you got to be really careful. Over time, you'll understand it. When you have a collection of these, you can see the trend. You can see what to expect, especially when you can look at a year ago to this month or this period. But you're not wrong.
So at any rate, the method of our madness is to give everybody a snapshot of
Yes.
how we're doing on a month-to-month basis. So at least you've got a look and see what's doing. And some report you can look at without going through all the financial segments, so.
And just keep in mind too, when you look at COVID, compare this year compared to last year and the year before too, because when we did the budget for this year, we marked some revenues down, anticipating
Right.
revenue loss. So if you
Yeah.
look at just a snapshot in time, the 2.9, well, I guess it's, what is it, 9.1 compared to 9.7, so not bad. But, so 9.1's outperforming the 8.4, but it's under the 9.7 still.
Right, and then another example up there, like business license, for instance, we don't have our big collection period until like the 10th month of the fiscal year, typically. So for the first 8 or 9 months, it'll be very, very small.
Yeah.
But then it'll get bigger. But this is, like City Manager said, this has been a bizarre, second year. And business licenses, as you'll recall, last year, we moved the collection period from April 15th to July 15th. We threw it into this year, so it makes it look bigger than it really is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that'll smooth out over time, and we're getting ready to collect that in the next couple months. In fact, we're going to be pushing that back. Collection period won't be April 15th. I think y'all have heard this already. We're going to propose the next commission meeting that we extend, like the feds in the state, at the business license collection period, not be April 15th again, but May 17th, to mirror image them. So everybody, cut the confusion. But it'll be in the same fiscal year, so that'll help smooth things out a little bit.
So John, I appreciate, I was quite OCD about this report, and I appreciate you working with me on it, so.
I appreciate you being OCD, because I can relate to that. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're going to go into executive session after we finish comments. Do we have any comments? City Manager, you have any comments?
Just to update the board, we do have the Director of Planning interviews scheduled for this week. We actually have the candidates coming in tomorrow. They'll be staying the night at one of the local hotels, and we'll have a full day for them on Thursday. We have 3 we're bringing in for actual face-to-face interviews. We have a panel of community members made up from the Development and Engineering community. We also have a panel for the leadership team, and then myself and Michelle Smolin and Stephanie Swazo from HR meet with them. I don't know if Commissioner Gult's going to join us or not.
Yes,
Wonderful.
Commissioner Gross.
So we're looking forward to it. We have some great candidates, and if things go well, which I'm confident they will, we'll bring back our recommendation to this body, the first meeting in April. We'll actually have the candidate here, and you can ask questions and meet with them. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Commissioners?
I just happened to notice that we have a couple of business owners in the audience that were here. My guess is for the Entertainment Destination Center. And thumbs up, everything? Okay, all right.
I think they're going to make comments.
I didn't know they were going to make comments, so.
Well,
okay.
one, I know Todd's is listed to make comments, so. So with that, any other comments from the board?
I was just going to mention that I know we are going to paint one of the tennis courts for pickleball, but I continue to get pictures over the weekend from people wanting more pickleball courts, so I suggested that they send those to you all as well.
So pickleball. Thanks for bringing that up. So, I'll just say this. We're in the process of looking at a new sports park, outdoor sports park. I think there's going to be some opportunities. I'm hoping there's going to be some opportunities to do that. It's, tennis is a rapidly growing sport, but pickleball is as well, and so we need to figure that out in the community and make room for them. So I think we're all committed to do that long term. So, okay, comments from the audience? I don't have to read it. Todd Bloom with Paducah Beer Works.
Hey guys, my name's Todd Bloom. I'm the owner of Paducah Beer Works. I am also on the Governor's Small Business Advisory Board, and one of my jobs there is to help small businesses navigate through some of the obstacles that they have here in Kentucky and to help them out. Yesterday, we were brought in and we were kind of briefed on the EDC. I'd like to thank Katie, Catherine, and Melanie for bringing us in. I can't stress enough how good this would be for all the business owners downtown. There's a saying that rising waters lifts all ships. I believe that having an entertainment destination center will bring more people in. It will create more businesses that want to come downtown because they're going to see the traffic. We're all going to work together to enforce and try to be together and do everything the right way because we want this to be successful. Because we know if it's successful for the city, it's going to be successful for us. So I hope that y'all, when you vote for it, that it'll all be yeses across the board because I think it'll be a really good thing.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.
I appreciate it very much. And also a shout out to you for all the work that you do in the community, not only, with other restaurant owners, but, with working on the homeless issue and some of the other things that you've been a leader in. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate it on behalf of the city. So,
Thank you guys for being here.
okay, City Clerk, would you read the motion to go into executive session?
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to go into closed session for discussion of matters pertaining to the following topics. Proposed or pending litigation is permitted by KRS 61.8101C.
So move.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. 5-minute break?